You know, sometimes the biggest heroes come in the most unexpected packages. Let me tell you a story about a kid named Harry. Harry was the kind of kid who always seemed to be a step behind. In school, he struggled to keep up. Words on a page would jumble up, numbers never seemed to make sense, and when a teacher called on him, his mind would just go blank. The other kids, they weren't always cruel, but you could see it in their eyes. They saw him as slow. A lost cause, that he carried that weight with him everywhere. He started to believe the story everyone else seemed to be telling, that he just wasn't built for success, but Harry had a secret. A passion that nobody knew about. He loved to build things. While other kids were on their phones, Harry was in his garage, surrounded by scraps of wood, old motors, and a whole lot of crazy ideas. His hands, which felt so clumsy in the classroom, they came alive out there. He could see how things fit together. He could feel it. One day, he saw a flyer for a county-wide science fair. The grand prize was a scholarship. His heart started pounding. This was it. This was his chance to prove he wasn't what they thought he was. So, he decided to build a fully functional, solar-powered water pump, designed for small gardens. He spent every afternoon and weekend in that garage. It was messy. It was frustrating. There were days he'd connect a wire wrong and the whole thing would short out. There were nights he'd spill solder on his project and have to start a piece all over again, and of course, people talked. A kid at lunch said, "Harry, you're actually entering the science fair? Isn't that for, like, the brainiacs?" He wasn't trying to be mean, but the doubt was there. Even a teacher, trying to be helpful, pulled him aside and said, "Harry, it's a very ambitious project. Maybe you should aim for something simpler." That voice in his head, the one that had been his companion for years, started screaming. "They're right. You're going to embarrass yourself. Just quit." The week before the fair, he had a major setback. A storm knocked out the power in his garage, and in the chaos, he accidentally fried the main circuit board. It was destroyed. He sat on the concrete floor, surrounded by what felt like a pile of junk, and put his head in his hands. He was ready to throw in the towel, but then he looked at his hands. They were covered in little cuts and grease stains. They were the hands of someone who had tried. And he realized something in that moment. He wasn't doing this for the scholarship anymore. He wasn't even doing it to prove the kids at school wrong. He was doing it for him. For the kid who needed to know that he could finish something he started. So, he took a deep breath. He gathered up what was left of his savings, went to the electronics store, and bought a new board. He worked through the night, and the next day, he walked into that science fair, carrying his invention, his heart thumping in his chest. When the judges came around, he didn't try to use big, fancy words. He just showed them what he built. He explained how it worked, his voice shaky but sincere. He talked about the problem he was trying to solve, and the passion just flowed out of him. You can probably guess what happened next. Harry didn't win the grand prize. He didn't even get second place, but he got the honorable mention ribbon. And more importantly, one of the judges, a local engineer, sought him out afterwards. He looked Harry in the eye and said, "Son, I've seen a lot of polished projects today, but yours has grit. You solved real problems. That matters more than any textbook answer. Don't you ever stop building." That was the moment everything changed for Harry. It wasn't the ribbon. It was those words. He walked out of that fair that day standing a little taller. The kids at school? They saw him differently. But more importantly, he saw himself differently. Here's the thing. Your journey is going to have setbacks. People might doubt you. You might even doubt yourself. But your value isn't determined by where you start, or by how others see you. It's determined by your willingness to get back up. To try one more time. To believe in your own crazy idea, even when no one else does. Keep building. Keep climbing. Your breakthrough might be just one more attempt away.